Hi and welcome to Tabletop Gaming. My name is Charlie and today we're going to talk about Necromolds. Now, I'm really excited about this. I don't feel like people are talking about this as much as they should be. I think this is an absolute delight and I'm going to tell you exactly why as we go through the course of this video. I'm going to take a look inside, let you know what's there, give you an idea on how to play and why this little game is just so delightful. Now, Necromolds is essentially a war game and often that puts people off, but this one has the fun and tactile element of building your own army out of Play-Doh. You have a set amount of Play-Doh to build your army with. You might go for a few of the big ones or lots of the little ones, but you're going to be casting them yourselves using little spellbooks that you're provided with. Sound good? It gets even better because once you reach your enemy and you win the fight, if you are victorious, you smush them, which then becomes an obstacle. So in itself, great fun. Now, I find this for me very much just led up to the smushing because I love the smushing, and we played the basic game. There are more versions available of ways to play this, but ultimately it is a quite tactical, fun little game that is super family friendly and super easy to just sort of fall into. You start going with it and you don't realise how into it you are until you look up and you're like, oh, we've played an entire game already? What? So let's take a look. So you'll see I've got various bits and bobs and things about, namely this is your starter box. This is what I feel like I would have wanted as a kid and remembered as an adult. This gives you your basics of what you need. So your board, your starter armies, and then you have the option to expand. So you can find more and more Play-Doh, more colours, more storybooks, as well as little packs for the ring. So you can see, you can really feel how family friendly this is, how easy it is with its artwork to appeal to a younger audience. And this, I believe, is how I'm going to get my younger family members into games of this nature and thinking a little bit more strategically because it's all hidden amongst the Play-Doh. Now I'm going to open this up. It is a running joke in the office that when Chris has games, he doesn't put them back very well. I have had a bit of a reshuffle to try and make it a little bit neater, but if you are unhappy with how the contents are presented, please don't blame the creator, please blame us. Anyway, we begin with our instructions. Now, granted, there's quite a lot in theory for how much there is, but it just sort of gives you a lot of options. Everything's very big, everything's very colourful. It's not as daunting as it perhaps first appears for a game of this nature. But inside, look at how colourful, the joy of colourfulness that is in here. If I do this, perhaps you can see. So we've got all sorts in here. So we've got those rings that I said about that you use to smush, and the nice thing is they all have different emblems in them, so it's visible as to which almost clan was the one that did the successful murdering. Then we also have our dice, so we're going to roll hit dice against each other, and also things like gems, which we'll use to trade to gain extra dice. We have our little monster tokens, so these tell us sort of what hit abilities we've got, whether we can do what we think we can do, and what we can do at the bottom as well based on our dice rolls. Speaking of dice rolls, there are the dice themselves, and we have the Play-Doh, which is already a little bit messy. I shouldn't say Play-Doh actually. I don't know what the non-branded term is for Play-Doh, so I'm going to continue to use it, but other brands are available and it does provide you with that there. And then finally, we have a huge row of spellbooks that you can see at the back. Now, when you first start out, you only get a couple. We have been playing through with these sort of extras included, which can make it a little bit more confusing, only in the sense that it's probably best to get used to your monsters first. Once you know which one's which, start adding in those extra sets just for a little bit of extra fun. But those, once you open them up, you will see contain little molds, and what you're just going to do is grab some of your Play-Doh, you're going to pop those in there, squish it together, and what emerges is a beautiful monster that is then yours to fight with on the board. So let's take a little bit of a look at those. So if I take the insert out, beneath we've got a couple of extra bits and bobs, but the thing that I'm looking for is our board. So it is incredibly simple. There is nothing really to worry about it. It just offers a square of play. And then we also have sort of different bits of terrain that can be placed based on various different things. I will just pop them randomly on so that we have something to look at, but you would do so more tactically as you play through. Now we're going to measure distance not by squares, but by different lengths. So this is our one distance, our longer distance, and our furthest distance. So it is literally, there they go, yeah, cracking, that's how far we can go. Make it as easy as possible. You have one of those each. As an upgrade, you can get a cool little like cleaner tool, multi-use tool thing that also has those sides on, so if you know what you're looking for, you can use that. But is also helpful for clearing out those spell books, because yes, they do get full of Play-Doh. There are also some stickers in here, which I'm very jealous of and will request that I can steal. Goodness knows what I'll do with them, but who doesn't like stickers? And from there, we can begin. So what I'll do to start us off is I'll just grab through one of these so we can open 1, 2. So these are your expansions, and they give you options for additional ones. Now you get your spell clay, but you also get your spell book. So in this case, we have a beautiful blue colour. And we also have our monster here, who we're gonna have a Petripod. So that gives you an idea of what they're gonna look like. And now for the fun part. So you see, the Play-Doh that you get, this is how much you're allowed. So whether you spread this across different types or not, or whether you just stick to one, is entirely up to you, but you'll need to squish out the army that you need. So that means when you first start, there is a little bit of stuff to do. It takes a couple of minutes to get your full army together, but all you're gonna do is squish. Now, if I have squished this correctly with the right amount of Play-Doh, which takes a little bit of getting used to get right, we should have a rather impressive little friend in there. And if I pull away the horrible bits, although always do a second squish just in case, we have got a rather funky looking monster, and he is our first one. He'll go on the board. Marvellous. Right, well, I've got all of this left now, so actually I'm going to use another one. Let's grab this one. This is Fungix, which is Forsaken. And the moulds look like these. So it's quite fun actually trying to guess from the mould what it's going to look like when it comes out, because yes, they're accurate, but they're a nice surprise because the detail that are in the casting of them is rather impressive. Now, one piece of advice I would give, and he will hate me for saying this, but Murdo cheated, is put enough Play-Doh in that you get all of the detail. You sort of almost want to overfill it so that you can make sure that you pull out all of the details, and equally so that you're not cheating, because if you put too little Play-Doh in there, of course you're going to have loads left over. Now this one was a little bit easier to come out, so he's like a spooky thing. Look at that. Look at the sheer detail. How very cool. That's another one of my armies that are there. Now I can choose when I create them and I roll correctly, I can choose to move all of one type forward. So sometimes it's better to have a similar type that you use so that that bonus is granted to all of them in terms of actions. But that's also not as fun, but equally different things have different strengths. So it might be that you want to go for a melee, it might be you want to go for a range attack. With your range attacks, it's quite binary. If you use your range attack and you roll more hit dice than they roll shields, you get them and you get to then smush them. If you're on a melee attack, so you're in front of each other and you're fighting each other, it is a case that if you attack them and you don't have enough hit points to beat their shield when you roll your dice, they get to smush you. So it's a bit of a risk. But what that does mean is it's a lot more sort of fast paced in terms of, actually, this is just what's happening. We don't need to be difficult with taking numbers off and, oh, you scored 2 against my 3, that means I've got 1 left. It's a case of, oh, what, you didn't get it? Smush. Marvellous. Now, with said smushing, I just want to demonstrate how delightful a thing this is if we grab one of the rings, which we will keep. This is going to be my ring for my smushing throughout the entire game, and we beat, all we do is just swoosh. Now, what that then does is that emblazons my logo into there. That then sits as terrain, which then makes it more difficult as you go through. As more and more get squished, the game gets a little bit more tricky. Now, there's plenty of ways to play this, plenty of extra options. I said about like adding in the new things that we've got, the various different boxes that you have, the new monsters once you get used to the ones you've got, different rules, different ways to play. And frankly, it's just joyous. This is the kind of fun that I wish I had when I was a kid. I could have had something like this. We could have played in groups. It would have been marvelous. And now all I want is a copy so that I can share it with my family, so that I can be like, guys, look, this is great fun. From the making of them, from that satisfaction in folding the book and opening it, to having a little creature that you can then use, to then being able to play them out and fight, have that little bit of peril, and then smush them when you are victorious. It is sheer joy, and look how it looks. This is someone that have really appreciated how the sort of vibrancy works and how stimulating something like this is. And I just find it really, really delightful. Now, there are drawbacks to it. It is quite simple. It does take a while to create those. It can be a bit tricky initially to tell the differences between the monsters when you're trying to then move them on. If this one looks like a horse, does that mean it's this? It's not a perfect game, but it is a delightful game. It is genuinely really, really good fun. We played it on one of our sort of lunchtime games and managed to play through a little bit of sort of the basic one, and honestly, all I want to do is play it again. So I would recommend picking up something like this. There has been a full review of this by Chris that is in the magazine now, so do go check that out, see if it's something that's of interest to you, and shout about it on social media. I don't feel like people are talking about this particularly much, and I feel like almost they should be, because honestly, it is delightful. Now, the age range is 9+, that is of course with supervision. It is Play-Doh, you need to be careful what you're doing with your children, but I could imagine playing this with my younger niece with full supervision without too much difficulty, and I genuinely think she would love it. So I would recommend. I will pop links to more direct descriptions, so to that review, for example, in the description. If you have any questions at all you want to ask, please do pop those in the comments. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching. Head to tabletopgaming.co.uk for all of your review needs, features, news, sign up for our newsletter, pick up an advent calendar, pick up tickets to our show. All of these options are available for you if you head over there. And of course, please hit like and subscribe and leave any comments. I do try to respond to all of the comments, so please know that they are always read. Thank you so much. So with that, thanks for watching and have a great day.